Welcome back, everybody. Michael LaFido. Welcome to a Luxury Fridays. I'm really excited. We have a special guest here today, and I'm going to be streaming this as well live from Instagram as well. But if you are watching this, you are in the right place. If you are a consumer, a home seller, or home buyer, as well as, of course, a licensed real estate agent. Again, Luxury Fridays we launched this 7 months ago, and we have a mixture of guests, primarily in the real estate agent field, broker world from across the world. And you can also ask me anything. We'll be covering topics today, covering from best marketing practices, but we're also going to talk about how interest rates and inflation, the state of the economy, how that affects perhaps price reductions for currently listed properties. Again, just a reminder, you are watching luxuryfridays.com. If you are new to this live stream, we come on same time, same place, typically 11 a.m. Central, unless there's a conflict, and we stream on multiple platforms, and we take questions from guests. If you are connected with me through social media, if you're watching through our Facebook page, you can ask questions, and you can also ask questions on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter as well. Again, I'm your host, Michael LaFido. You are in the right place if you want to learn more about real estate, learn more about the state of the economy, learn more about best marketing practices. And today, that's what we're doing. Today, I'm actually going to bring on a guest here in 1 second. Let me do that, and I'm going to stream us live here. Let me get to our Instagram, because we have people wanting to watch on Instagram. And so we are going to stream us live in 3, 2, 1. We are live on Instagram as well. All right. So last week, we covered a lot of good information. If you're watching this live, if you're watching a replay of this, you can always go to YouTube and go to the Marketing Luxury Group on YouTube, where you can watch previous episodes. You can go to Marketing Luxury Group, subscribe, and you will be notified of upcoming live streams. I have a special guest today. He's going to be on our podcast as well, and we're going to be talking about building a brand that stands out, right, to differentiate. And I'm going to bring on the Tiger here. You're going to, not Tiger Woods, but we got another Tiger we're going to be bringing on here in a minute. Nick, give me a thumbs up if you're ready, and I'll bring you on here. All right. So just a couple reminders. Again, each Friday we come to you live, luxuryfridays.com. If you guys are getting value from this, please leave us a like, leave us a review. Don't keep us a secret. Share our show with others. And for those of you that ask good thought-provoking questions to our guest, we will send you a digital copy of our objection handling cards. We'll send you the PDF of those. And don't forget, if you do get value from our book, Luxury Listing Specialist, let us know. Leave us a review. We'd greatly appreciate it. All right. Oh, I see I got a Tiger in the house. There's Tiger Quay here. I got the Tiger in the house. Again, today we're talking about building a brand, differentiating. I have Nick, who I met several years ago through a good friend of mine at Box Brownie. Peter said, "You're a marketer, you're creative, you think outside the box. You should meet another like-minded individual." So I have Nick Tiger Quay here. How you doing, Nick?
Fantastic, Michael. How are you? And hi, everybody at home. Thanks for watching.
Yes, absolutely. And you recently attended my luxury training that I had, my luxury designation training that we had in Sunrise at the Miami Association of Realtors. I had a rock star panel, and you were on that panel, and you also streamed our Facebook Live. And you mentioned during that, I didn't even ask you on our podcast that we had with you, but you had mentioned to me afterwards, you streamed me doing a Facebook Live at our designation event, and you had a $1 million buyer or seller reach out to you. And during that live stream or shortly after, what was that about? Fill me in. I forgot about that.
Well, so we were talking about, my nickname's the Tiger, and I roar, right? And so we talked about this earlier, where roaring is about, for me, it's about being seen. It's about having a voice in the community. And roaring isn't about being the loudest. It's not about having the fastest car, Lamborghini, purple shoes, whatever it is, and being a peacock. It's about how you serve differently. And it's about showing that you have knowledge and showing that you're doing things different. So we were in Michael's amazing luxury real estate training. Y'all, if you want to learn how to break into luxury, it's not as easy as you think. But man, does Michael make it a heck of a lot easier. And his course really works. So anyway, we're there. Michael's doing his live, showing his people. Michael's roaring to his database and his SOI and his community. And I said, you know what? This is amazing. I love Michael's passion and Michael's energy. So I said, I got to film this too. And I did. And while we were doing it, people, my audience is going, hey, what are you doing there? And I told him, I said, I'm over here on this rock star panel. It's great. You got to follow Michael. I'm interviewing people in the crowd, showing some of them how to do live for the first time. And guess what happens? A couple of my clients and friends and network on Facebook or Instagram, wherever it was, reach out and go, hey, you know what? You're talking about how you position multi-million-dollar homes differently. I actually need to sell my house and I've been thinking about it. Can you come and meet us tonight or tomorrow, whatever it was? I ended up getting a listing appointment out of it.
Wow.
Maybe 2. And then I had a couple buyers reach out. So the cool thing about this is when you do content that has some relevancy for more than just 5 minutes, people can look back at it. And while it's live, you have to leverage it. So what Michael does really well, and you guys will see this if you take his class, is he forces you to go live and he proves the point. But yeah, it was great, Michael. I love being involved in anything that you're doing. I love being on panels and I love sharing knowledge and my insight and how I do things differently. It's a lot of fun.
Well, you definitely are creative and you think outside the box, which is key. And in this case, you leveraged a Facebook Live that I was doing. You weren't even necessarily being the one that was talking. And actually, on our most recent vlog, our educational vlog, which you can go to luxredefined.com, luxredefined.com. Nick, we literally, that's one of the things that we teach agents is how to leverage other people's properties. In this case, you were leveraging another person doing a Facebook Live, and it actually led to a listing appointment or 2. And I'm going to pull that up on the screen right now, leveraging other people's properties, because we, like I said, just released this. So I want to at least share this. Again, you guys can go to luxredefined.com, luxredefine, to see our educational videos. And our last 2 was, is there a language of luxury? Again, I've had our designation event outside of San Antonio, and I had a husband-wife team, Remax team. They're excellent, great agents. They've gone to other trainings. And I had both Judy Smith and Dave Smith were at my event. And we toured a $17 million mansion, part of our training. And Nick, they said to me before, so we did a full day training, then day 2, we did the mansion tour. And they said, your training was amazing. You didn't cover a lot of language of luxury, what to say, what not to say. Now, again, we cover terminology, but I said, listen, you got to be authentic. You have to be you. I want you to be engaged when you're talking to somebody, and don't overthink, oh, I have to say this, or I have to say this, or I can't say this, or I can't say that. And so it was perfect, Nick, because during the $17 million mansion tour, the listing agent was there, and she was with Sotheby's, and she was awesome. And I asked her questions. She wasn't expecting this, but in front of the whole class, I said, hey, if you don't mind me asking, how did you get the listing? Is the 17 million your price or their price? And we had about a 10-minute dialogue, and she was really authentic and great. And then at one point she said, you know what, the homeowner is actually here. She's right over there. And so the homeowner was actually at the $17 million mansion tour. And so I asked the homeowner, I said, listen, I have a husband-wife team here, and they had mentioned that I didn't cover a lot of language of luxury, how they should talk to a high net worth individual. I said, when you interviewed this agent, how much did the language of luxury come into as a factor when you hired them? And she goes, it didn't factor in at all. I did. She goes, I did my due diligence. I saw that they had a track record of selling similar type properties. I liked her from my first conversation. I felt like I could trust her. And those were the factors on how or if I was going to be working with her, not, oh, she said this instead of that. So that's what we cover at Luxury Defined. And is there a language of luxury? I'll drop that link in. and then leveraging other people's properties. And so that was the video we just did, where if you as an agent, there's really three things you can do to leverage other people's properties. I call it OPP, just like the song by Naughty by Nature in the 1990s, how to leverage other people's properties until you have a portfolio of your
Yeah.
own. And so, Nick, you leveraged our Facebook Live and you got a
Yeah.
$1 million listing appointment from it.
You know, something to add to the language that, look, I mean, you know, even if you have a portfolio, like let's say you have, you know, look, the market's thin, right? If you live in a place and work in a place like Miami, you know, I like to carry, you know, $10 million or 10 listings at any time revolving, right? So if I'm under contract, I got to pull another 2-3 million here. I always want to have that. This is one of the first, probably the first time that I'm okay with not. And we are leveraging other people's property. You know, we have situations where, like, if someone lists a house around the corner from me and I love it and it's waterfront, I'm going to go paddleboard over there. I'm going to do a video and I'm going to do my little Facebook Live. But then I'm going to ask him, hey, listen, do you mind if I do a bigger video at your house? Because I'm still the expert. I still live in the neighborhood. Yeah, I have my own listings, but those videos are done. So if I have a little bit of time, or I can make a little bit of time for my quote unquote, my community content, well, I should be going in and shooting content on these listings. So yeah, if you have 40 listings, God bless you. You probably don't need to do that kind of stuff. But if you have anything short of that, you should be leveraging the other listings in your community. And then on the language, I remember a 30-second story. I had these clients in New York many, many, many years ago. I've been doing this for 17 years. So many years ago, it's August in Miami. It's hot, it's humid, and these guys are bankers. So I'm expecting suits. There's 3 partners coming in. They're going to buy several $1 million worth of pre-construction. I was getting paid 7-8% commission on these properties. I'm dressed up in a 3-piece suit, and I got my hair done, and I got my socks pulled all the way up. And I get out of the car and I meet these guys. They're in tank tops, shorts. One guy's wearing a Hawaiian shirt and flip-flops and khaki shorts. No one's wearing pants except for me. And I was talking, trying to be this guy that could sell these $1 million properties to these hedge fund guys. And I messed up. They actually sent me away. They said, Nick, you're making us uncomfortable. We like you. We like your energy. We like your spunk. We like your drive. But dude, you got to go change. They're like, take 20 minutes, go around the corner, buy some new clothes and come back. I swear this is exactly what happened, because I was trying to speak the wrong language. I wasn't, and I wear Hawaiian shirts. I wear flip-flops, right? So I was over here not being my authentic self, trying to show off for someone that I thought I had to show off to. All they wanted was me to be the same guy that I was on the phone, but show up in a Hawaiian shirt and my jeans or shorts. Anyway, that's, you know, real quick story. Always try to understand who your audience is. Don't try to be someone you're not. You can change your words. Yeah, there's certain words that we won't use in front of certain types of clients. That's okay. You could slow down your cadence. You can speed it up. You can match personality, but you have to always be authentically yourself. And that's one of the things that I love about Michael and love about Michael's content, whether it's the luxury listing stuff or is there a language of luxury. You guys really got to pay attention to this. You're going to learn so much from Michael. And if you don't believe me, look at his Facebook and all the crazy, insane properties this man lists every single month, and then start listening.
Well, hey, I appreciate it. And
I'm
you're listing
serious,
some
man. You're
amazing
like my
properties.
marketing hero.
Well, likewise, you respect, right? So you watch these NBA players, the finals are going on, the NHL Stanley Cup's going on, Major League Baseball, great athletes typically totally respect and give credit to other great athletes. Great marketers give respect to other great marketers, and that's why you're on here. So appreciate your time. So without, again, we have Nick coming on our podcast, so you guys are going to want to check out luxurylistingpodcast.com, luxurylistingpodcast.com. His episode will be releasing here in a few weeks, and I will bring it on screen. We just released our 194th podcast. We are coming up on 200 podcasts. 200 podcasts. We're really looking forward to it. And
I want to know who the special guest is for number 200.
Well, is he tough to tie down? I'm trying to bring him in. I will keep you posted when we get. It's $1 million agent out of California, and he's a good looking guy, but better yet, he's a great person. I'm trying to tie him in, and I don't want to let the cat out of the bag in case I can't get him.
I can already guess who it is. Well, I don't know. There's only one person that I can think of, and is it? Can I say his initials, or is that going to give away too much?
You can give the initials.
CC?
No, no, it's not.
No?
No,
Oh, we got to
no.
talk. I want to know who it is then.
Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you offline. It's
All right,
not.
all right.
It's not. Okay. Uh, so this is something though, like our podcast. You're going to be on our podcast, Nick. We already recorded it,
Yeah,
so we're going to be releasing it. And again, we recently had Teresa Bow on. She talked about the barriers and breaking into luxury, the barriers, not only as a female but a woman of color. It was a great show, and we are excited to have Nick on. So again, we have Nick Tiger Quay out of the Miami market, Southern Florida market, I should say. And I want you to tell everybody a quick story before we go into one of the topics I want to talk about today for our guest on interest rates and inflation and the conversations you need to have with consumers and how price reductions are on
yeah,
their way up. We're still below historically average. 33% of homes listed historically have a price reduction before they sell. We're still below that, but we're going up. So we're going to talk about that later. But with Nick, I want to talk about the cat house. So I'm going to give everybody a little backstory. Again, from time to time,
I can't help but
myself
laugh.
as a
Yeah,
marketing agent, you take on properties, right? Sometimes they're different properties, sometimes they're unique, sometimes they're turnkey, other times they might be tear downs, and they might
yeah.
be houses that you walk in. Remember the five senses when you go to sell, right? The sights, the smells, the taste. You got to remember these things. Well, Nick was selling a home, and how many cats did this house have?
17 that we counted that were there full time, and several others that they made friends with that they brought in off the street.
So 17
It's,
cats
it's in
in
a
this
million
house.
dollar neighborhood. It's a multi-million-dollar neighborhood. These
So
homes are easily 3, 4, 5, $6 million. All the newer ones.
yeah, so Nick had, uh, by the way, those of you that are watching on Instagram, the best way to answer questions is go to luxuryfridays.com, luxuryfridays.com, and literally you can subscribe. You can watch our live stream. If you're friends with me on social media, you can type in your question and your comments there for Nick or myself. And that's the best way if you're on Instagram. But Nick, I nicknamed it the Tiger House. Excuse me, the Cat House. We got Nick Tiger Quay here. The Cat House. It had 17 cats that he could count. Probably had more than that. And so, if you're selling a home that I call it Captain Obvious, right? Hotels.com, the Captain Obvious. If you're selling
Yeah,
a home that's got something that's unique and or different, or it's going to be a challenge to sell the home. And by the way, that homeowner probably didn't think it was going to be a challenge. And that's one of the most difficult things as a
so
real estate agent is to make aware of to the homeowner, to the seller, without offending them, that their personal taste or their style, or maybe in this case their animals, might be a detriment to selling the home. So the thing
yeah.
that I like to tell a homeowner is market research. So if we were to role play a little bit and Nick was the seller and he had 17 cats, I might say, hey Nick, listen, I don't mind animals, even though I am allergic to cats. I might not tell him that, but I might tell him that, right? So I might say, hey, you might not be allergic to cats, Nick, but I am. So just being in your house, my eyes have started to water, and I've already sneezed a few times. And so again, you have to think that your potential buyer might be allergic to cats, dogs, animals, and so we want to be hypersensitive to that. A true story. My wife and I, we have two puppies that we got. They'll be celebrating they'll be 2 years old in July, but I call them COVID puppies. And I'm very sensitive to our two
Yeah.
dogs, that when we have guests over, we light candles. And even though I don't think my dogs smell, probably others think that our house smells like dogs, even though I don't smell
Sure.
them. So you have to be aware of those sights and sounds and senses when you go to sell a home. And so with that being said, Nick took on one of those properties and he was thinking outside the box. He wasn't just selling a house. And Nick and we do a lot of post processing editing of our photos when we have a cool house.
Yeah.
But when you do video, it's tough to edit out those things. So talk to everybody about the cat house.
So I'm going to get there. And what Michael just said about the senses, sight, touch, sound, noise. This can be even a
Taste.
noisy air conditioner. I've had a lot of I saw a lot of condos, and a lot of the condos, the AC is by the entrance. And some of these things are loud. So you have to really pay attention. Sight, things that affect your sensories, right? So it can be clutter, it can be art, it can also be not enough light, it can be too dark. So there's things you have to really, really, really pay attention to, especially on a listing appointment. And so the one about the cat house, it was a family member that actually called me to sell the house. The owner, yeah, Michael's 100% right. Didn't at the time didn't understand what we saw. Didn't understand that 17 cats is a problem. These are his friends. This is his pets. So whether it's an art collection, whether it's a nude sculpture or things that are extremely personal, religious artifacts, items, family portraits, all these things to me always have to be removed anyway. Now I've had some cases where we'll temporarily put them in a drawer, but a lot of times I make them take it off and I put them in storage. Now the 17 cats.
All right, before we get to the 17 cats, Nick brought up a great point. So if you're watching this live stream and you're a homeowner, or you and I are connected and you are selling your home, or you're a licensed real estate agent, it's not just about animals, but it could be religious artifacts. Again,
Gotta go.
We want people to feel comfortable in their own home, but again, when you go to sell a home, it's not about it. We want to appeal to a larger mass of buyers,
Yeah.
right? And so, it's not anti-Christian or your Buddha or whatever it might be. You want to neutralize. Now, I will tell you, if you're watching this, again, market research suggests today's buyers, they want to feel comfortable when touring a home, and we want them to focus on your house and not your things. And so worst case scenario is you would take those items out for the photography. And if you got to pick your battles, but if they say, I'm not removing them, then move them for the photos and then move them back. But it's best if they would put them in storage or put things out of sight, out of mind. That's best. All right. Jump right in with your cat story.
Yeah, and what Michael said. Now, obviously, look, we can make an argument that certain areas are 100% this or 95% this, and that's okay. We have certain communities down here in South Florida that I sell in, where part of the draw in a single family home in Miami right now is having your little outdoor space. A lot of people will go to the word Zen garden. So I think that's probably the only time that it's really appropriate. And it's got to be, the thing that you think of when you think of peace and serenity. Sometimes it is a Buddha's head, right? I mean, there are sculptures and statues and fountains, but anything that doesn't add to the tranquility of the space, that doesn't add to the value of that space, needs to be removed, right? So yeah, we have some parts of the country where it's very typical to have a cross outside in your back garden, a little outdoor prayer area. If that's the community you live in, leave it. But if it's not, it's got to go, right? Especially on the interior stuff, on the paintings and on the photos.
Yeah, but like I'm based in Wheaton, Illinois. That Wheaton College, at one point, Wheaton, Illinois had more churches per capita than anywhere else in America. So we are a Christian-based community. But I would still tell somebody in Wheaton, Illinois, if they had crosses all over, that hey,
if they're all over,
play that a little bit. Let's downplay that.
No, I agree. And so you want me to get into the cat story now?
Yes, please.
Okay, so how we downplayed the 17 cats, and this is actually, listen, this was a hard one because the family member that contracted me to sell the house was like, let's get rid of all the cats. They got to go. Come on, Nick, get in here. Tiger, roar, scare them away. I was like, hold on. I knew it was going to be an extremely sensitive conversation. I went in and I met the owner that lived there. And I really needed to understand this person's personality, what triggers them. And there was a lot going on in this person's life at the time. So it was one of those, you have to be sensitive, right? So how do you get rid of 17 cats? Well, we relocated most of them. I said, listen, we're going to have the doors open. I had to create reasons to reason with the individual that had the 17 cats living in there on why the cats were going to be safer if we relocated them now. We also had to use we hired a company to come in with about, 5 gallons or more of industrial bleach. And then they painted, they had to strip everything, the walls, the ceiling. I mean, everything was just, there was cobwebs and there was cat and there was just dust and it smelled like it was inhabited by cats, and it was hard. So the first thing, we had to understand the seller's needs. I knew what my job was. My job was position the house and sell it, right? Well, part of this was what do we do with the cats? So we had to find a cat rescue. We had the we adopted out the kittens. We did the best job that we could do to ensure the safety and security of the cats, and also the happiness and the emotional stability and tranquility of the seller. So that's a really big thing you have to consider. You can't just come in and go, remove all your family portraits and your crosses. It does not work that way. You're going to talk yourself out of a listing. So back to the cats. We had the cats relocated. We had the industrial cleaning company come in. We had a paint crew come in, did several coats of paint. We had zero intention of showing the house. Literally, I had no intention of showing the house. But on the off chance that a buyer was going to come into the house and I actually want to walk through it, it had to be as sensory friendly as possible. And when
All right.
I'm used to
So
touching my
yes.
nose here,
Yeah.
there was an odor
So
that did not go away even with the paint.
So let's just pause right there. Nick brings up an amazing point, a great point right here, is you can't make assumptions as an agent. You think you might not know who the avatar is, in other words, who the buyer is, and it's somebody else. Recently, I sold a big property, and the owner swore that because I wasn't the first agent, right? In real estate, there's an old adage, you want to be the firstborn, the second wife, and the third real estate agent. I was the third real estate agent on that property.
Yeah.
And he swore the buyer wasn't local. It's been listed with two other agents. If the buyer was local, they would have come forward. Guess what? We got an offer. The buyer was local. And so Nick, even though he thought the value was in the land and it's probably going to be a tear down, he prepared because maybe it's an out of state buyer coming from California. A lot of California is moving to Florida, and that $1 million tear down, to them, they couldn't buy land for 2 million where they're coming from. And so that buyer might have visualized and might have said, yeah, I'll gut it. And it's perfect for me. Correct?
Yeah. So in this situation, that the property's in Pinecrest, which is one of our most sought after neighborhoods, right next to the Gables and Gables Estates, super hot area, right? It was $1 million listing, and it was potential. The possibility was there because the four nationals, some of them were just starting to come back. The possibility was there for someone to buy it, do a renovation on the house while they're getting their permits to build their dream home. And so, although we never took photos inside the house, never did video inside the house, I did a couple walk around tours where I showed the original date pine. You know, that's our pine wood from down here from South Florida from a long time ago. And I showed the couple little features. I would do a video in the backyard, and I did a video from the gate going into the entrance through this lush landscaped area. And I would walk around to the pool. The pool had a fountain and a waterfall, and it was, for what it was beautiful. It was green and moldy when I got it. So we had a pool professional come, and I think we pressure washed the deck, and we spent a lot of money on landscaping because people were going to see the outside of the house. Now, ultimately, my goal with this was a complete teardown. It was find some builders, find a developer, find someone that wants to build a dream home and sell it to them. But I'm not always 100% right, and I have to plan for every scenario, including inside the house. Where it turns out, I think out of the 30 buyers we had come in the first 2 days, because it was pretty hot, I think 2 of them actually went inside the house. One went all the way through. One just kind of stepped into the foyer and goes, "Okay, I'm good," and they left. So the point is back on the sensory things. We had to make it as palatable as possible. Nobody could cringe walking in the house, and we had to clean everything up, clean all the gook off the windows, and make it so it could be as bright as wide as possible. So I forgot what colors were in there, but it was paint from the 70s. You know, it needed to be white. White on white on white. The light bounce is the best. We actually chose a semi-gloss eggshell on purpose. Typically, I go for the matte, the flat. I don't like gloss, but because I wanted to show off the wood, we had all the wood polished, knowing they're probably going to demolish the house. Why? We increased the value. So instead of somebody coming in and only offering us 800 or 850, what a few people did, most people were in the 900 range, just under $1 million range, which is where we eventually sold it. Why? That $100,000 right there was because we positioned the property properly. On top of this, what, Michael, I think you want me to talk about the video since we couldn't do any
Yeah,
photos. All right.
let's talk about the video. But before we do, you notice Nick uses a term that you've probably heard me talk about. By the way, those that are watching on Instagram, go to luxuryfridays.com. You can see our guest. You can ask questions of our guest. Those of you that are on Instagram, go to luxuryfridays.com. But oh, by the way, thank you for the comment, Bob. We got Bob from LinkedIn. Bob Coyne, great great content. Appreciate it, Bob. Again, if you guys have questions, please type them in. If you have a question for Nick, if you want to ask about the South Florida market, again, we are with Nick Tiger Quay, who is a real estate agent in Southern Florida. By the way, everybody knows a real estate agent in Florida. Florida's got the most licensed realtors of any state. They used to be two behind California. They're number one, over 216,000.
We have 60,000 just in Miami, Michael. On the Miami Board of Realtors, 60,000. And we have more than that because we have 2 other boards down here as well. But we have over 60,000 realtors just between the Palm Beach, Miami, and Fort Lauderdale area. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, everybody knows a real estate agent, so you need to stand out. And so I got Nick on here. Nick, by the way, before we talk about this, I do want to share, if you were just in Google, have you Googled yourself? Not you, Nick, but I'm talking to the audience. Have you Googled yourself? Have you looked yourself up on Facebook, on LinkedIn? More importantly, have you had somebody else Google you and look you up, because they can identify? So while we were on here, I Googled Nick, and I did type in his Nick Tiger Quay, but it's tough to watch. But I typed in Nick Quay, Tiger Quay.
Yeah, a lot of things show up actually.
And there you go. You can see Nick with the tiger hat on. You see my promo yesterday of Luxury Fridays down there. You see his reviews. You got 18 Facebook reviews, and you can read them right there. You got his contact information. So again, you need to be able to Google yourself when you're developing a footprint for yourself. Recently, I had one of the other panelists that was on that same panel with you, Nick, at our designation event that the Miami Association of Realtors hosted. And Heidi Joy talked about how she'd Googled herself and she couldn't find anything a couple of years ago on herself. And that's when she realized, man, I got to build up my branding. I have to, if somebody Googles me, I need to be able to have some great content out there.
I got to add one thing. Is that okay? It's about Google Alerts.
Yes.
Okay. So Googling yourself is so important. And what Michael said is even more important, having someone else Google you. What you want to do is you want to have someone, and I actually, and I don't want to be that guy that says, Google me, but I can say, Google me. So when someone goes, wait, what do you do? I'm like, listen, just go to Google, type in my name. And they're like, seriously? I'm like, no, seriously, check it out. Why? Because you see involvement in the community. You see that I'm a governor for the state of Florida, for the Florida Board of Realtors. I'm a director for the Miami Association of Realtors. I'm a national speaker, international speaker. I travel around. I do all these different things. I give to the community. I'm a paddleboard racer. I'm a philanthropist. It's all over Google. It's all over the first 2 pages. And so there's value in this. And when Michael says Google yourself, you might Google yourself and see nothing there. Or maybe you have a name, Tom Jones. Well, how many Tom Jones, including the celebrity, are going to come up? So you have to really, when you look at your branding and how to identify yourself and differentiate yourself, Tom Jones of Boston, Massachusetts, the #1 realtor in town, you still need to rank on Google. And so there's things that you can do to show up there. And you really need to make that part of your business practice. More importantly is monitor your online presence. We just had something recently where I can't get into all the details because there's multiple ethics violations involved in this that I didn't, they were against me, but somebody decided to go online and thought it was, thought they were being slick to say some things they shouldn't. So Google has Google monitoring, right? Yeah, it's called Google Alerts. You go in your Google account and you can set an alert. Listen, I have an alert for Nick Quay, for Nick Tiger Quay, for Tiger Team, for Miami Tiger Team. Every person on my team, I have an alert. And the cool thing about it is the one that has my business name, Nick Tiger Quay, has an immediate alert. And I get a pop-up in my phone on about 3 different emails, including my assistant and my admin have it, also an alert for my name. So not only do you need to build your brand and do things like this that get you onto Google, but you also need to monitor it. So use the Google Alerts. It's one of the best things you're ever going to do. It'll tell you if your name's on Yelp, if it's on Google, if it's on here, there. It follows you everywhere. It's not just about Google products only. That's kind of my little 2 cents on there.
That's a great point. So I have a unique last name. So I just have a Google alert on my last name. So anytime my last name pops up in the news or on Patch or something like this, at Lafido, I get a notice just to make sure that, like you said, you're on the up and up if there's
and then also a lot of times, like, guys like us, Michael, I don't know if this happens to you, but if you Google me and you go to the 3rd or 4th or 5th page, there's all these articles that I didn't even know that were written about me. So there's other people that'll take an article from when I was at this multinational company, or they'll take an article from Inman, or they might even take your podcast, Michael, and download it and put it into words and then type it out. It's a possibility. So it's not just about monitoring something bad. It's, I want to know when a newspaper in Canada or in China or in Brazil mentions my name. That's
Yeah.
kind of cool. And so I've had quite a few times where I get an alert and I'm bugging out, like I wasn't interviewed this week. And then I'm like, oh, somebody took something off my video and incorporated me in. That's kind of nice. Anyway,
before we got on, if you recall, Nick, I had to take a call with the Chicago Tribune.
yeah,
Remember that? I was on a phone call.
I heard.
And I just had a Google alert come on while you were describing it. So I clicked on it, and the Chicago Tribune just did a story on a property 31 minutes ago on a property
Wow.
that we're marketing, and that just came up while this show was happening. So again, through Google.
Like I said, yeah. And now you have something to share later. So are you going to get into the video for the cat house? I'll do a quick version. All right. So Pinecrest, one of my favorite neighborhoods in the entire country. And one of the reasons that I love Pinecrest is because of the peacocks. Peacocks. You heard me right. So this is one of those neighborhoods where not only do we have very large, oversized, prehistoric looking iguanas, but we also have these beautiful flocks of peacocks roaming around. It's one of these neighborhoods, Michael, where there's this old, 100-year-old trees creating a canopy over the road between these luxury estates, right? So you have different architectural styles. Some of the homes are from the 50s, some are from the 70s, some are from the 90s. Some have a very Japanese architecture. Some are mid-century modern, some are contemporary, some you don't know where the heck they came from, but they're fun to look at. Others you don't want to look at. The point is there's all these differences in architecture and design in Pinecrest. And so that's what the video is about. We couldn't go inside the house. We could show the walk from the main road through the tree-covered area, through the canopy to the house. I could show the backyard, I could show the pool, but that's it. So it starts off with me in this big swing, and we can post a link if you want. I can share the link if you want to put it up.
Yeah, you can share
on YouTube channel, and I have to look at the name. I think it's called Pinecrest. Anyway, it's me in a swing with a tiger helmet on, and it's about, hey, this is Nick Tiger Quay. Today's not about tigers, it's about peacocks. And there's literally, as we film this, we're shooting it at my buddy's house, who happened to live in the same neighborhood in a glorious mansion. There's a peacock on top of his garage going, gah, gah, making noises at us. So it was the perfect setting, because I knew at my buddy Steven's house there was going to be peacocks everywhere, because there always is, even up in his tree. And so we shot it about the peacocks, the walkability, the differentiation between this and other neighborhoods, the fact that there's, within 5-10 minutes of any house in the community, even if you're all the way on the water, 10 minutes away, you have a Trader Joe's, a Whole Foods, a shopping mall, tons of amazing restaurants. And then you're really close to all the hot areas where the more entertainment places are. But it's an amazing place for families. It's got some of the best school districts. Some of the best schools in the entire country are literally right there, private and public. And the video was about that. So it's me walking around. I got one of my big hats on and my tiger shoes. And I'm talking about, why you should live there. And then when I get up to the house, instead of showing the house, we used CGI. And I didn't tell you this part in the podcast. A lot of the stuff that I do is based with green screen, where I incorporate green screen and live video, right? So it's me walking down the path, and I say, one of the first things that I would do is I would have a 15-foot door that swivels like this. Well, we shot it both in person on site, and we did the same similar script in the green screen studio. And in my video, as I talk about the door swiveling open, guess what, Michael? There's a 15-foot door swiveling open with a waterfall on the side. So I designed this house in my head. I drew it out. I drew out what I would build, my version of a $5 to $7 million home on this lot, what I would do. 5-car garage, man cave or office upstairs, maybe a 4-car with a lift. I like cars. I want to be able to see my 1967 Camaro, the 308 GTS Ferrari that I don't own yet, but I will one day. I want to be able to walk up, and as I walk into my home, into my castle, you better believe I want to see all the stuff that I worked really, really, really hard for. And I want to have waterfalls, and I want the separation, and I want the doors. And the first thing I want to see is a 20-foot ceiling of glass going out over my pool, an open kitchen, indoor, outdoor kitchen, living areas, and the place that I'm going to spend all my time around that pool and outdoor kitchen. Guess what, Michael? We did the video. We did the whole thing. all this incorporation from the green screen. And so there's people playing and there's a pool party, and some of the stuff, is not from Florida, but the idea is there. The emotion's there.
They're
The
painting the
story
picture.
is there. Guess what they're building on that lot, Michael? They're building the same house that I created in my video. They're creating the vision and the dream that I created to sell the house for the most money. And the even better part for the developer now, this house is worth a lot more money than it was when we came up with the concept. So not only did they follow a basic guideline and a template that I created for the house that had 17 cats that you couldn't go inside, and you would literally have to cover your face with 2 masks, and you'd still have a hard time breathing. They built this beautiful, exotic, luxury, outdoor entertaining space estate from the video. So the point is, you have to have vision. You have to understand how to tell stories. And you really, something that took me years is understand what other people find value in, right? So I paddleboard in people's pools. I do fun, creative stuff, but you have to go beyond entertaining yourself during your marketing. And how do you entertain yourself, be authentically you? Because let's face it, I don't care what anyone else thinks. I run around in a Tiger helmet. I paddleboard in the pool. I do whatever I want. And I love that I get paid to do this. But I have to find the tie-in between my authentic self, me having fun, Tiger Unleashed just going nuts in someone's backyard, to where's the entertainment value, and then where's the story. So you have to, when you do the videos, you have to be not only an entertainer, but a storyteller, and you have to be engaging. And this is something that Michael teaches in all of his classes.
Well, great, great story. But what I like about what Nick just shared is be a visionary. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not about necessarily what you like. Think about what market research suggests too. So same thing when I walk in your home. If I were to walk in your home, your condo, Nick, and you were to say, Mike, I'd like you to market my place. Again, I have to put my personal preferences aside, and I go back to what market research suggests. So in other words, hey, you might have a lot of items, some furnishings out there that I personally would purchase and put in my own house. But again, it's not about me. It's what does market research suggest? And so you were a visionary, and that's what I like about this, is you thought outside the box. And that's one of the things that we talk about is again, market research is the key when you are marketing these homes. It doesn't matter what Nick thinks. What matters is what today's buyers think. Is what's going to get you top dollar. Put your personal.
Yeah, when Michael's talking about market research, one of the examples I always give is Florida Living magazine. In Florida, that's a contemporary magazine. It's Florida Living. It's all that sexy lifestyle that everyone's drawn to. So a really quick example, I listed $1 million home recently. It was a condo on a private island, 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom, flow through. It has east to west views, right? So the reason I'm mentioning this condo, people with money sometimes have a ton of stuff, and they keep on buying stuff because they have all this disposable income, and they keep on buying stuff and stuff and stuff and stuff. And then they buy more stuff to put on top of their stuff. Oh my goodness. Michael, the amount of clutter in this property was absolutely ridiculous. And I know you face this as well too. And it's very personal. So it's not just like stuff, it's like personalized, and it's like a family painting that's 4 feet wide. And, the mother has a leopard print on her face. And then there's all this tchotchkes over here from this trip and all the stuff from this trip. And then they have so much stuff, they buy armoires to put their stuff in. And then they buy more stuff. And then you go into the closet, and the closet looks like, you're at a very luxury version of a boutique store. It's just piles of stuff and Chanel and this, man. So back to what I'm trying to say. How do you do this, right? So what I had to do, and I know Michael removes everything for the photo shoot. I actually leave it. I say, listen, leave your crap and your clutter and let me shoot it. Why? We do bracketed photos, usually minimum 3 to 7 brackets. If you don't know what that is, Nick Tiger Quay, shoot me a message. Michael could tell you what it is too. We have friends of ours that offer this as a service that you should use. Anyway, we shoot the bracketed photos, which is the best way you can do. Everything's clear. And then we digitally remove everything. So we digitally remove everything. And then we go back and we restage it with the Florida Living version, the Miami Magazine version, the Fort Lauderdale Los Olas Boutique Magazine version, whatever it is that has the highest and best use of the design styles that are current and trending in their neighborhood, or where the buyers are coming from. It depends on the kind of home you're selling. If you're selling in Miami, you have to understand where the buyer's coming from. what's attracting them. And that's what you do, because we're 80% relocation right now. But on the other end, if you're living in an area where you're local selling to locals, what's the local trend? What's the highest and best? And then you design it that way. The point is, we do this, we then show the images to the seller. Guess what the first thing they do is, Michael? If there's clutter in the closet, they go clear out the damn closet. And then I get a text message on Sunday night going, hey, Tiger, look what we did. They clear the closet. I've had homes that have dirt in front where it should have been sod. And in the 3D renderings and in our marketing photos, we put sod, we put grass, we put plants and flowers. Guess what they do? They take the suggestion because we show them the visual version of it. So it's all about understanding how to have that conversation. And like I said, I always use the local magazine as the reference, Luxury Living Magazine, this and this. And it really does allow you to push someone to clear out their stuff.
Yeah, we have a lot of before and after photos. I've mentioned this to you before, and I brought this to my event. We have a book that we wrote called Outside the Box, and it's a visual book of just before and afters.
I haven't seen that.
Before they hired us and after, with staging and decluttering.
That's just for your team?
This is something that we show. And so these are properties that we've done. And then people that get our designation, there's an upgraded version where we share them with them, our templates, which we encourage them to create their own in their own market.
That's a really good idea.
But literally,
we don't do it, right?
It's before and after. And it's one thing for me to tell them, like, for example, this is an extreme, but this was a house that I was selling. And this is the before. They got a full line and water bump.
I remember that house.
And then this is a house after, right, where we had the items removed. That's just one extreme example. And so we have taxidermist homes, we have contemporary, we have French country, we have different styles. Now, before we get to some questions for Nick, I do want to share one thing.
Make sure we let everybody know, if you guys are watching this on Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, you can actually comment. So I always forget to tell everybody this when I'm using this system, StreamYard, but you can comment right down in the comments, and Michael and I can see it over here in the back end. So if you have questions, you have comments, please put them now, and you can ask questions to both Michael and myself by just commenting right there.
Absolutely. So whether you're on Twitter, you're on LinkedIn, you're on Facebook, you're on YouTube, type in the comment section. You can ask your questions right then and there. And we've had some great questions there, which I'll get to in a minute. But I want to share with you, Nick, talk about bracketing. This is an extreme. This is not bracketing, but for some unique homes, you might bring in a photographer that brings in light, and he will light different aspects of the room. So I'm going to be covering this in a future episode, but this was a house that I sold in a community called Barrington Hills. The owner actually fired his mom, a Sotheby agent, and hired me, and we got it sold. But this is the pool house, and you'll see they took different photos, and he edited himself out, but he was taking photos in different areas, brought in light, and then
that's different.
This is the final version where he blended in. So it's a form of bracketing, but they actually brought in lighting. And so there you have the various dark, lighter, and he's shooting the dark, and then you have the final version. Here's the kitchen. If you take a photo of the kitchen, it shows a little bit dark in the corners. You can see he had the light in this corner here. And now he took a different, and he's taking photos in the different angles, and then the final version is bright. Same thing in the breakfast room. It doesn't show really clean. He's taking different photos, and you see the final version. So that is one example that I wanted to share as well. That's a little extreme. Not most photographers won't do that, Nick.
But at least the bracketing, I think anytime you're going to do a listing, listen, don't be cheap. Don't do it on your cell phone. I don't care what your broker says. I could care less. Spend the $299 on the photos. Now, if you're in an area where you're selling $150,000 to $200,000 homes, find the $99 or the $199 version. Or listen, you can go and buy. There's some really good Nikon cameras it's around $1,000 for the whole kit. Maybe $1,500 if you get with a nice wide angle. But the point is, between $1,000 and $1,500, you can go buy a camera yourself. A really good friend of ours actually has an online class on this if you want to, but at least you're using professional equipment and you're still doing the bracketed photos. At a minimum, you need 3 brackets per image. I don't care what anyone else says. I will argue with them all day long. Do it professional, do it right, step it up, and show people why we deserve the kind of money that a lot of us make.
Well, you just queued up one of my future vlog topics. Why is it important to have professional photography?
It makes me sick to my stomach. $1 million homes with a damn cell phone, and this clown is standing there in the bathroom mirror. It's like,
Yeah,
I swear, $2-3 million homes, Michael. It makes me sick. And
yeah,
I wish that we could call the seller and say, hey, you hired the biggest clown in the neighborhood. Congratulations. But we can't. It's an ethics violation.
yeah.
My
I know,
goodness.
I know. It
Oh,
it should be an ethics
horrible.
violation, no, Nick, to take inferior photos because that gives you a black eye, me a black eye, no
It's
matter where we're based.
these clowns.
Yeah,
Anyway, don't be a clown, y'all. If you're watching this video, though, I know you're not. So
yeah. All right. So let's I'm gonna Nick, I'm gonna move on here. I only have a
yeah.
few minutes left. You can stick around. I'll keep you on camera, or I can take you off camera. But I want to talk about price reductions, some recent data that I came across that I want to share, and I think it's really important. So, price reductions are the story. Price reductions are the story. And right now, we're seeing more price reductions in our market and other markets than we've seen for over a year now. Matter of fact, I want to share with you some statistics. Again, historically speaking, about 33% of homes that are for sale have a price reduction before they close, before they go under contract, before they close. 33% historically speaking. Now, in markets like California, where historically speaking, there's a shortage of listings, shortage of homes for sale. California historically is about 25% of listings of homes for sale have a price reduction before they sell. Historically speaking, around 25%. Currently here in the United States, we are at 24.1%. 24.1% of homes that are currently for sale have a price reduction before they sell. 24.1. But that statistic is rising quickly. And historically, you will see homes do more price reductions in the second and the third quarter. Why? Because the school year is starting at the end of the summer as the third quarter starts, and the holidays are coming. And so you'll see more price reductions typically in the fall, in the winter months, than you see in other quarters. So again, just keep that in mind, price reductions. So you got one time to make a first impression. So photos are really important. Your description is great, but nobody's going to read the description if the photos don't stand out. And so we're going to be covering that ongoing because it's really important in what you do and what I do. Again, I'm going to bring Nick back on. Nick, I got a question for you here. All right, so we have a question from Maisha Brown. Do your clients ask for resources about their pets? So, in other words, hey, where can we put our pets? Well, like in your case, you had 17 cats. So, where am I going to put them? What kind of shelters are there?
So yeah, that's a really good point, and it's a great question, Aisha. So yeah, I think just like knowing where the best Italian restaurant or pizza or a Chinese takeout or whatever you think that people need in the community, you need to know where the best dog parks are and groomers, and then you need to know about other resources. So you need to know about hospital care, who the best vet is, the best veterinarian hospital group, and then also the extended stay type places. So yeah, sometimes you do have to put up an animal or you have to take it to your house. I brought a dog to my house, actually left the dog in my house with my dog during someone else's open house because their family was out of town. They didn't have anywhere to put it. So you really have to remember that the animal, whether it's a fish or a bird or whatever it is an extension of their family. It's a huge part of their family. And sometimes when it's an older family or empty nesters, it's more important than the kids because it's the pet that lives in the house with them. So it's a great question. And yeah, it's something we have to take into consideration. The recent home that I was talking about with the clutter, the $1 million home on the private island, the condo has 3 small dogs. So the type of resources, yeah, we had to have a dog walker come a few times. I had to have someone on my team take the 3 dogs out. And you really have to think about this and also limit the amount of showing sometimes as well. So you have to really take into consideration, what can I do to have the buyer understand as much information as they can about the listing before I bring them in, because there is 3 dogs barking. We are going to have to either relocate the dogs or the buyer might have not the quietest sensory experience in the world. And you have to always take that into consideration and understand what options you have. So
Yeah,
great
great.
question.
That's a great question. Great point. Um, Nick, hey man, you were awesome today. I appreciate it. We got Nick Tiger
Thanks.
Quay. Thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me, Michael. It's an absolute pleasure. And like I know you guys already know, if you're watching this video, check Michael out. The class is amazing. His content's awesome. And if you don't believe me, just Google the guy or look at his Facebook at all the amazing multi-million dollar homes he lists every single week. That's what everybody wants, right? So thank you, Michael, for giving back to the community, because you don't have to. Guys like Michael don't have to do this, but he does it because he loves it. I had the opportunity to ask him once, and he didn't tell me to say this, but he's truly passionate and loves what he does. Does not need to do any of this, but he painstakingly creates content constantly to give to others because his passion is serving others, not just himself. And so thank you, Michael. Everybody can learn a big lesson from you about that.
Well, no, I appreciate it, and this is, I know it sounds kind of, um, maybe not the most uplifting, but again, what is your why? What is your why? We all have our own why. And one of my whys, Nick, and I think I shared this with you, is right on the screen right now. Uh, someday we're all going to pass, right? And if this was your gravestone and they had on there the number of lives affected,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
that, to me, that's why I do what I do. I'm trying to empower, bring us together. I know some people think, what, if you have a belief a certain way, they want to tag you, they want to, rip you apart, but you got to be you. And for me, I'm trying to build others up and affect people's lives. But if you stand for something, you got to don't be afraid to stand for something either. And, you might upset people, but Steve Jobs once says, if you want to please everybody and make everybody happy, sell ice cream. But I got news for you. Even if you sold ice cream, people would think the line's too long, you don't have enough flavors, it's too hard, it's too soft. So you're never going to please everybody. You got to be comfortable with who you are. And I appreciate what you bring to the table. And
thank you.
We got one last question. Can you touch on transportation? Have a Karen? Do they meet you places? All right, I'll answer this one. I believe you're referring to when you're showing properties. For me today, with the COVID world that we're in, I think it's much more common for you as an agent. I'm going to be showing a $9.2 million home here in about 1 hour and 2 minutes. And I'm going to be meeting them at the property, and then I'm going to be showing them a property after that. And so, again, meeting clients at properties versus jumping in the car is much easier. The exception to the rule perhaps would be if you have an out-of-town buyer and they got to Uber everywhere, you might meet them at the first place or a Starbucks or your office. Again, from a safety and security standpoint, I'm not going to cover that right now, but males and females, be careful when you're meeting somebody for the first time. You hear these horror stories all the time as far as they're not qualified, they're not doing it for the right reason.
And if it's a big deal and they don't know a community, if you're taking them to a place for the first time that you're very well versed in, you can still have them follow you. I actually bought a car on purpose that I don't take clients in. And I put them on a speakerphone. So I call them and I'll say, hey, if you look out the window to your left, especially if they have kids, I never let kids that aren't mine, I don't have any, but I don't let kids that aren't related to me ride in my car. Liability reasons. So number one, for liability reasons alone. Now you do want to control the conversation. So a nice speakerphone call in a new car works as well.
A great point. Thanks, Nick, for your time, bud.
Thank you. See you guys. Bye, everybody.
Again, you're watching another episode of Luxury Fridays. I'm your host, Michael Lafito. If you're getting value from this, please share it. Let others know. Let a colleague know. Leave us a like. Leave us a review. And if you have a question for me, you have a question, shoot me an email, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com, michael@marketingluxurygroup. If you haven't got a copy of our book, it's on Amazon, or if you have a copy, please leave us a 5-star review if we've earned it. It's on Amazon, marketingluxurygroup.com is my email. Again, I'm your host, Michael Afito. If you want more resources, you want to shoot us a note, you're interested on what we're building, where we're speaking next, go to joinluxgroup.com, joinluxgroup.com. Again, you guys make it a great weekend, make it a great Friday. Today's my daughter, G Money's 10th birthday. So we're going to have a great weekend, birthday weekend. And I hope you guys have an amazing weekend as well. And like the sign behind me says, prove others wrong. Prove them wrong. See that there? Prove them wrong. When somebody tells you you can't do something, I hope you thrive on that. And I hope you strive to prove others wrong. Make it a great day. Keep building others up. And my name is Michael Afito. Till next time, we'll see you next Friday. Take care. Bye-bye.